The Whiskey 4 station, come back with your call sign again, please.
Roger, Whiskey 4, Bravo, Oscar Golf, W4BOG.
Roger, Roger. This is Kilo Charlie 9, Victor, Kilo Victor. Name is Jim. Roger.
Roger, Jim. Name here is Mark, Mike Alpha Romeo Kilo, located in Carrollton, Georgia, about 30 miles west of Atlanta. Just heard you call CQ. Just moved to a new QTH and just set up a horizontal loop, sky loop for some testing here, running on an ICOM 7200 at 100 watts, and just trying to see how I'm getting out.
Bart, you're doing real well there. I would think that you were running considerably more than 100 watts. You're giving me, I'm looking at the audio output of my receiver and on a VU meter, and you're a good 10 dB above my noise level, Roger.
Roger, Roger. Likewise, I'm getting you about 10 over 9, 10 over 9. What's your QTH?
We're up around Louisville, Kentucky. We're just across the river from Louisville in Indiana, Roger.
Beautiful area. Well, thanks for coming back to me. Yeah, like I said, I'm just trying to test out this antenna here at this location. Got a little bit of a challenge. My house is about 40 feet up a hill, and unfortunately, the sky loop I'm having to slope one end of it down right now because my throwing arm isn't what it used to be.
Roger, I know how that is. I have enlisted a flycaster in my team of experts that does my sky high stuff. Roger.
Yeah, Roger. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what to do here. I've got about 1.4 acres, and it's pretty heavily wooded behind the house. I've considered possibly putting a tower in the back, nestled in these trees, and getting a Yagi over the top. I'm still trying to figure out what I want to do. I've thought about hex beams. I really like these horizontal loops, and I'm considering actually upgrading, now that I've got the area, to a 255 footer so that I can run an 80 meter sky loop. I think that would be great, but the challenge is going to be finding someone to climb these big trees to get it hung.
Roger, Roger. Well, you know, for 40 meters, I don't think I would change anything. You're one of the best 100 watters that I've heard come out of Georgia, Roger.
Oh, fantastic. Well, that's good to hear. Yeah, I strung this up last night, and the XYL, we've got an outdoor fireplace. We lit the outdoor fireplace here on our balcony, and we sat out here at my first contact with Nebraska and San Francisco, and it seems to do pretty well. I'm surprised. As of now, 20 meters is just totally dead to me right now out here. I think it's just a band, but 40 meters being the magic band is definitely living up to its name today.
Roger, Roger. I've been working 40 off and on, maybe twice a week on this particular frequency, for a few weeks. And I find, that 40 does real well in the daytime, anytime after, say, 10 o'clock in the morning till probably about 6 in the evening, Roger.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, I usually kind of go over to 40. Typically at night is when I find the most activity on 40, but it is significantly quieter today than it was last night.
Roger that, Roger that. Well, when it gets noisy, that means that the conditions are expanding, so usually the noisier it gets, the more stuff is coming in, Roger.
Yeah, well, I'm hoping that, today we've got absolutely beautiful conditions down here. It's a little chilly, about 54 degrees, but we're supposed to get back up to 70 or so, just under 70 degrees. Just the other day, of course, it was 81, 82 degrees. So a little bit awkward for the southeast for this time of year, but it's definitely nice, just a little crisp out here.
Roger, Roger. So your loop is a horizontal loop, Roger, Roger?
Roger. I bought this one a couple of years ago. I just moved down here back from Charlotte, North Carolina. And when I lived up in Charlotte, I lived in a place here. It was really I enjoy restrictions. So I don't think I had an opportunity to play with this thing and just related it to this level around my yard. And it's been pretty well. Now that I've got all this fancy back of the house is probably 40 to 50 feet above ground. So where the antenna's coming off of the balcony, it's sloping down probably to about maybe a 12-foot height at the far end and then coming back up. So it definitely isn't ideal. I think it would be a lot better if I could get that in up to about 40 feet or so where the balcony is over.
Roger that. Well, I'll tell you what I'd do, man. You get me at least a 2-position switch, or maybe a 6-position rotary switch, with some connectors on it, and I would leave this antenna that you're on now alone and go to a secondary antenna, and then you can AV back and forth and see which one is hotter, and you might find out that, in some circumstances it shifts back and forth on the same band. Incidentally, you might want to know that whoever the last operator was on this radio shack here flipped the radio on the on another antenna, and the problem is on that switch there is no other antenna. So you were coming in on my my leakage side. You sounded even better when I actually put an antenna on the receiver. Roger.
Wow, that's pretty impressive. What kind of equipment are you working with?
The receiver is an older Yaesu 990. An older Yaesu 990. We have an electric mic, homebrew electret mic, going into an ART preamp, into a 3rd octave equalizer, and then comes up on the desktop to a 6-position rotary switch to select the radio that I'm working, and a toggle on, toggle off talk button, and then it goes into the 990, out of the 990 into the SB220, and then up to a inverted V dipole. Roger.
Roger. Well, this is definitely working well for you. I'm a little temporary station here on my balcony. It's my IC7200. I'm going into this horizontal loop just through a simple LCD shooter, and I've got all kinds of equipment upstairs. I've got a whole bunch of antique, or actually, I don't know how antique they are. The good old Kenwood 520s and 520s. I've got a Flex Radio 5000. I've got my K2FPDX 3000, which I need to get set up. So, like as I said, this is just kind of a temporary situation until I can get the ham shack actually set up. I've got a room dedicated for it, and I just needed to kind of play with the antennas and see, kind of get a game plan together so that I can have somebody that's not quite as terrified of heights come out here and help me rig up some antennas over.
Roger that. Something else you might consider is a north, south, east, west configuration on that dipole, to where you do have 2 different broadbands, and you can switch back and forth that way. Again, I'm big in favor of AB antenna situation where you have different options. Roger.
Yeah, that's actually kind of what I'd like to do. I want to have a bunch of different options, and one of the beautiful things about this home is I'm in a very small community. There's only 27 homes. Nobody seems to care about antennas, so I'm kind of playing around with the thoughts of some vertical. I'd really like a hex beam. I've always had really good luck with hex beams. I'm just trying to figure out, because of where I would have to mount it being behind the house, I'd have to put something on a really, really tall mast to be able to get over the house. Otherwise, the very large concrete foundation of the house is going to block a lot of the signal. So I just need to play around, and that's actually the intention, is to put up as many antennas as I possibly can. I think that's my favorite part of the hobby, is just trying to see what I can throw up for an antenna, what kind of contacts I make, and what I can radiate to actually get out there.
Oh, Roger that. Yeah, I don't think there's well, outside of a really elaborate Yagi or something, it's hard to beat a dipole for effectiveness of radiation. They're just unbelievable, you know. Now the thing is, like I say, that you know, some folks say, well, it radiates one way if it's certain height and another if it doesn't. But I've found pretty much that it radiates broadband to the way the antenna is running, you know, at almost any altitude. Now these inverted V's, I think, try to radiate perhaps a little more vertical, because it is, what I did is convert some of my metal guy wires to inverted V dipoles. And so you can see what the slope of that is, probably about a 45-degree angle. Another trick on those inverted V's and working off towers is to be sure and keep your transmission line connection to the inverted V's at least 2 or 3 feet away from the tower. I use a little piece of rope to hang off the center insulators where I tie in the transmission line, and let it move away from the tower about 2 to 3 feet. It makes things a lot easier in tuning the dipole. Also, I use my own formula here about tuning a dipole, in that I tune the SWR on the negative side of the dipole, and I bring it on frequency on the high side, on the positive side. So I'm going back and forth on the low side tuning for minimum SWR, and on the high side bringing it back on frequency. And you're back and forth like that to your SWRs. I've got 3 dipoles up there for different bands, and they're all 1.1 to 1, Roger.
Wow, Roger, that's nice. Yeah, I'm looking forward to getting everything set up. Unfortunately, up in the ham shack, being that I just moved in, I don't even have any tables or desks up there. And it's actually a room on the top of the house. There's a spiral staircase that leads up to this room, and I've got the room is probably 20 by 20 feet with you know, 3 windows on each side. So for all practical purposes, it is a glass room. And I'm planning on building some, you know, some built-in shelves and bookcases to get all the equipment mounted, and that's going to be a great starting point for a shack, as well as the origination point for the antennas. That room, to give you an idea, is about 20 to 25 feet higher in elevation than I am right now. Over.
Roger. Now, the only thing to consider in a room like that is that it drives the distance between you and your ground, you know, that much further there. And when you get past, you know, say 12 feet, 10 feet, you start talking wavelengths, you know, involvement there. And most of the ground is not an actual ground for AC, it's a ground for RF, and RF, you know, loves to differentiate between links. So when you get out on, you know, distances like you're talking, maybe 24, 25 feet minimum to a ground, it's going to be tough to get that ground to work on the higher frequencies. So if you're running power and not be able to get a good ground, you may have some you know, RF circulating in your Radio Shack that could get into your audio. Roger.
Contact.
Go ahead, contact.
Yes, sir. The power supplies. I'm going to order a couple for spares. That's the problem with the audio stuff that we're using, you know, the little mixer. They're $9.99 at Sweetwater, so I'm going to order 2 this morning. And lightning is DC, since we transmit an AC. It's always good to have an equal or greater counterpoise on an antenna, because lightning is DC and we transmit AC and our antennas working AC. And that GTO going down the hallway, but I'm listening.
Roger, and non-GTO. Hey, listen, I resolved the issue there. It was not the mixer. It was my mic preamp. I did have some difficulties with the mic preamp, and that's all ironed out. Roger.
Roger. Okay, I'll be back in there and listen. Keep on going. This is the non-GTO listening.
Roger, Roger, Lou. Catch you later. Bart, back to you, sir. Stolen by gypsies. Bart, are you stolen by gypsies down there in Georgia?
He's coming back to you.
Gosh, Bart, I'm not copying you, sir. I think the conditions have fallen apart down towards Georgia.
Hey, Bart, can you hear Lou N9 GTO? Roger, Roger, Bart. I got a 9 over on you. I'm on an inverted V. I got an inverted V double bazooka. I'm only putting out about 60 watts. I don't have the amplifier hooked up to this. I'm actually talking on a 80-meter inverted V on 40 meters. An inverted V, 80 meters on 40 meters, that is a double bazooka DC to ground on each end. And I'm hearing you quite well, low noise floor. But Jim's just right across the road over on, and he's on one of those noisy dipoles. Over?
Roger, Roger, copy that. You're on 40 meters, but an 80-meter antenna. Roger.
That's right. I'm on an 80-meter double bazooka 80-meter tuned with a tuner. I'm using the tuner an outboard tuner on 73. But sorry, Jim can't hear you because he's on one of those antennas that is not DC to ground. I'll eventually.
Hey, tell him who you heard down there, Bart. Tell him you heard Jim.
Yeah, he keyed on me. Just stop keying on me at that 10,000 watts. Somebody putting out.
Hey, Bart, I don't know what it was. Temporary insanity over here, but I got you good now, Roger.
Y'all take it over. I'm back.
Roger, Jim. You are able to copy Whiskey 4 Bravo Oscar Golf?
Roger now. Roger.
Yeah, that's pretty strange, isn't it? I mean, you just dropped out hard.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I thought you'd been stolen by gypsies down there.
I was starting to wonder myself. Yeah, I was in the middle of telling you, I don't know how much you copied, but yeah, that room, even though it's very high off the ground in the back of the house, the front of the house, it's only the second story up. So as far as RF grounding, I think that should be okay.
Oh, so you have a berm home, a berm, Roger?
Roger. Yeah, the front of the house actually looks pretty small. It looks like a very small two-story house, but we've got about 1,800 square feet underground, and because of the slope of the berm, the basement that's underground at the front of the house is actually a walkout basement about 15 feet above ground level at the back of the house.
Roger that, Bart. Well, I think we have conditions coming back in again. You kind of faded down there. You copy me any better now, or how does it go?
Roger, I'm getting you at about an S9.
Roger, I copy you about 5 dB above my noise level. So maybe conditions are coming back. I don't know what happened, I never had noticed conditions shifting between 3 miles at a destination, It's kind of weird.
Yeah, it's those gypsies coming for me.
Hey, Roger that, man. Roger that. Well, do you have any power? Do you see in your future?
I've been drooling over a power amp for a long time, and I have not pulled the trigger. I think if I end up getting a power amp, I'm probably going to get one of the 600-watt Ameritrons. Is probably the one that I can see spending the money on the most.
Roger that. Yeah, that first 500 watts makes an immense difference there, That first 500 is just an incredible difference, and the next 500 is did you do something, But now the third 500 is that helps out a bunch too.
Yeah, it takes anybody with 1,500 watts to kind of light up the atmosphere and light up the clouds and get a signal out there. And one thing that I like about ham radio is I like the challenge of it. To me it's fun. I actually do a lot of really low power work as well, just to see what I can bring.
Roger, Roger, Bart. Well, I think conditions have shifted quite a bit. So let me say 3's down that way. It's been a pleasure. I wish you luck on your antenna situation there. You know, the whole thing about it is to be able to keep what you got, add the new, and then be able to compare the two. That's the thing I love, is just to be able to compare where you were to where you are, and you know, if it's better, then you know, sally forth with the next tier. You know, so you're constantly evaluating, you know, the antenna, one antenna against the other, to really be able to tell which one is the best or most efficient. But if they all three are the best, they will be best in different situations. So then you'll have 3 options that you didn't have before. So while I got it down, Bart, 3's down that way, sir. I enjoyed the QSO. You have a real good day. Roger, Roger.
Roger, Roger. Thanks for the QSO, Jim. I will definitely look you up here and see when I can't find you again. KC9 Victor Kilo Victor, this is Whiskey 4 Bravo Oscar Golf 73, Jim.
73's, Bart. You have a good day. Clear.